What would you do if you were stuck in one place and every day was exactly the same and nothing that you did mattered?
Now that sums it up for me.
Hello there, and welcome to... What is this, Miami Beach? Not hardly. So I'm in a bit of a weird state right now. I'm working on like 3 different videos that are all probably going to be more than like a half hour long. Also, I just look terrible because I had like a violent encounter with a metal cupboard, as you can tell. And honestly, I just need like a little bit of a break, a tiny little bite-sized video just to like tide people over and just kind of work as like a creative exercise for myself. To distract myself from the ever-growing pile of large projects and responsibilities that I've accumulated. So enjoy this mini video essay about Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day is a really thoughtful and interesting movie for what is essentially a 80s Bill Murray comedy that came out a decade after those types of movies had their heyday. It also holds the honor of being the most referenced time loop movie maybe ever.
You know what your little scenario reminds me of?
What? What's that?
Groundhog Day. The movie Groundhog Day? With Bill Murray?
Who's Bill Murray?
It's a favorite among my family, and it's one that we watched every year on the day that it was named after. With the exception of the last couple of years, because I don't know if you were there, but they're kind of hectic. This year, though, I got the chance to watch it again, though this time I was able to look at it in a more analytical way than I had in years prior, due to me at the time not having the practice analyzing movies that I do now. And I noticed a lot about it that made me appreciate it a lot more as a piece of art. Notably, I believe it serves as a great allegory for something that I believe many of us feel. But first, I feel I should catch people up who are not familiar with this movie or its premise. Groundhog Day follows the weather reporter Phil Connors, played by Bill Murray, as he's assigned to cover the Groundhog Day celebrations in Punxsutawney, Philadelphia. You know, Groundhog Day. The day where we here in America listen to Punxsutawney Phil, a groundhog, to see if he sees his shadow or not, and based on that, whether or not we're going to have 6 more weeks of winter. You know, the most normal holiday of all time. Anyway, Phil, the Bill Murray character, not the groundhog, has been assigned to cover the holiday 4 years in a row and is pretty sick of it. He hates the town, he hates the winter, and he can't wait to get out. Unfortunately, a blizzard closes the roads and keeps him stuck in the town for just one more day. Things go from bad to weird when he wakes up the next morning and everything is the same as it was before. In fact, exactly the same. He meets the same people, they say the same things, and several feet of snow from the night before have disappeared without a trace. It's Groundhog Day again.
Where's everybody going?
To Gobbler's Knob. It's Groundhog Day.
It's still just once a year, isn't it?
And then again, and again, and again. Phil is stuck in a time loop, doomed to repeat Groundhog Day for the foreseeable future. The thing that I find most interesting about this movie's progression is how Phil deals with the situation that he's in. There's disbelief at first, as you would expect, and then he spends a whole bunch of time doing reckless and morally questionable things just because he won't feel the consequences in the morning. This ranges anywhere from driving on the railroad tracks to learning everything he can about various women only to gaslight himself into their pants the next day. This is of course remarkably creepy, though not too out of line with Murray's behavior in real life. Along this line of reasoning, he tries to learn as much as he can about his producer, Rita, played by Andie MacDowell, so that he can have the perfect date with her. It doesn't end up working out for him.
Stop it!
So far, very 80s Bill Murray rom-com type shenanigans, right? But then the movie gets dark. Phil starts to fall into a deep depression, presumably spurred on by his lack of success with Andie MacDowell, but it's clear it becomes much more about the hopelessness of his situation. He is, in every sense of the word, trapped. He can't leave the town, he can't leave the day, he can't leave the state that his life is in. So he attempts to take his own life. Several times, in fact, but he's still always back to normal the next day. It's a surprisingly respectful and serious depiction of suicidal ideation for a 90s Bill Murray comedy movie, because it's never really played for a joke. It is, though, not the solution to Phil's problem, and it's something that, in my opinion, elevates it to the point where it's deserving of the reverence that I give it. Phil, desperate for someone to truly confide in, tells Rita about everything he knows in order to convince her of the truth of his situation.
How do you know these people?
I told you, I know everything. In about 5 seconds, a waiter's gonna drop a tray of dishes. 5, 4, 3,
nuts.
2, 1. Okay?
In doing so, he reveals that he knows her, like knows her personally. Not in a I memorized facts to get with you kind of way, but in a way that shows that he really genuinely cares about her as a person.
You like boats, but not the ocean. You go to a lake in the summer with your family up in the mountains. There's a long wooden dock and a boathouse with boards missing from the roof. And a place you used to crawl underneath to be alone. You're a sucker for French poetry and rhinestones. You're very generous. You're kind to strangers and children. And when you stand in the snow, you look like an angel.
How are you doing this?
I told you, I wake up every day right here, right in Punxsutawney, and it's always February 2nd. And there's nothing I can do about it.
She's fairly convinced at this point, and they spend the whole day together, discussing Phil's predicament. And that time that they spent together is so much more real and emotional than any of the fake dates they had gone on together before, and it's a really nice change of pace to watch. Rita brings up to Phil that he spent so much time thinking about his predicament as a curse, but maybe there's something that he can do to make it a gift. They spend the rest of the night together just sleeping in the same bed. When she's asleep, Phil confesses his love to her, the true, actual love that he fostered in all the time that he spent interacting with her during the day. And because he does love her, he takes her advice. For the rest of the movie, he spends his infinite time doing not just what he wants to do in the sense that he was before, where he was just fulfilling base desires pretty much, but doing things that help on a soul or spiritual level. He learns how to play the piano, he becomes an ice sculptor, he tries to save an old homeless man from dying alone. He turns his news broadcast of the Groundhog Day celebration into a work of poetry. He devotes his schedule to going around saving and helping people from fates ranging from flat tires to choking to death on steak. He even buys insurance from his old friend Ned Ryerson, who he has found tolerable at best throughout his time in Punxsutawney.
Watch out for that first step, it's a doozy!
All of this is something that, on one particular Groundhog Day, Rita notices for herself. And thus, for the first time in the movie, Rita is the one who initiates contact with Phil for something more than just their professional relationship that they have. Not the other way around. They have a very genuine and romantic moment after this particular Groundhog Day, and they go to bed that night together. And when they wake up, it's February 3rd. It's not Groundhog Day anymore.
Let's live here.
Overjoyed, Phil takes Rita out to run through the fallen snow, ready to face the new day.
We'll rent the start.
What a day this has been. What a rare mood I'm in.
The philosopher Albert Camus once wrote an incredibly influential essay about the myth of Sisyphus. For those who don't know, the myth of Sisyphus told the story of an ancient Greek king who tried to cheat death and angered the gods in the process. As punishment in the afterlife, he was forced to roll a giant boulder all the way to the top of a hill, only for the boulder to always roll back down to the bottom just before he got to the top. He was doomed to repeat this task for all eternity. Camus argued that, from a nihilistic standpoint, the meaninglessness of Sisyphus's task was comparable to the absurdity of human life, despite humanity's efforts to put order on it. Thus, in that metaphor, Camus argued that one must imagine Sisyphus happy, because in order to not be driven to insanity or insane depression, one must find joy in the banality of life, because otherwise, why do we continue to strive for something that we know we can never change? Like how Camus viewed Sisyphus, I feel that Groundhog Day works as a great metaphor for something that we all feel within our lives. The feeling of being stuck in one place, where every day is exactly the same and that nothing you do matters, is unfortunately pretty relatable. And if it isn't for you, It will be someday. It's a feeling similar to the one that you get when you're depressed. Not clinically, but the mood depressed. And when viewed through that lens, the message of Groundhog Day is pretty clear. It's all about finding light in the darkness. I don't think that the choice of Groundhog Day as the holiday that the story is set in was a random one. It's a holiday in the middle of the coldest, darkest season of the year, and it's all about the hope that that season will end soon. If the prediction that Punxsutawney Phil had in the movie wasn't 6 more weeks of winter, I don't think the movie would have worked nearly as well. It's also a winter holiday that, unlike a certain cluster of other winter holidays from earlier in the winter, isn't explicitly about being together. There's a kind of cold hollowness to the holiday that many can feel, and it's something that Phil himself feels. Phil doesn't seem like a particularly happy person at the beginning of the movie. He's snarky, rude, and egocentric while simultaneously self-loathing. He doesn't really have anything or anyone in his life that means that much to him. And so during his purgatory, he tries to mold himself into someone that Rita would find appealing, which doesn't help. While he's stuck, however, he manages to find a way to make the best of an extremely grim situation. It sucks and he really can't do anything about it, but eventually there's only so much that wallowing in his situation can do. And so he goes out and he does stuff that won't necessarily help his situation, but will help him. And honestly, it's fulfilling for him. And in doing so, ironically, he molds himself into being the exact type of person that Rita would love, completely unintentionally, because he found a way to be kind and caring and live happily with his situation, which, in my own personal interpretation, is why he was able to break the loop. Not because he successfully got Rita to fall in love with him, but because he was finally happy and at peace with the fact that he couldn't change anything, which, ironically, in real life is often the way to change your situation. He was someone who learned to find light in the darkness. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I did have the thought after I finished it that it could be interpreted that I was doing the whole, like, you're depressed, just be happy meme with this analysis. So I wanted to be super clear. I'm not talking at all about clinical depression with this. That's like a chemical imbalance in your mind that you can't treat with just finding a new perspective on life. If you're diagnosed, take your medication. Learning to play piano won't necessarily help. Other than that though, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I promise you that Megamind Dr. Horrible video will be out sometime. I have things I'm working on. I'm not dead. I hope that you have or have had a great Valentine's Day and are having a great winter. Feel free to check out my socials, all linked in the description, including my Letterboxd and my community Discord server. All very cool and epic, and you should follow immediately. Feel free to like this video if you liked it, share it if you think others would like it too, comment if you have any thoughts, and subscribe if you just can't get enough of my roguish charm. We're almost at 3K, and who knows, if we hit that milestone, maybe I'll announce something. Possibly, potentially, almost certainly. Guess there's only one way to find out. All that said, I sincerely hope you're having a great day, and I guess I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Don't drive angry. Don't drive angry.